He's sleeping. Don't want to wake him up because he'll scream and want to breastfeed. But here is Alton. He's so short. Baby boy number 3 has made his grand entrance. He's the sweetest. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Ashley, aka Pretty Hippie, and I'm back with another video. Guys, I know it has been so long since I have sat down in front of the camera and just talked to you guys, but like, what's up? Like, oh, I am so glad to be back on YouTube, like officially now. I posted a few vlogs for you guys and I hope you enjoyed them, but I am ready to get back in the swing of doing things after having baby boy number 3. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Thank you. You're welcome. Do you hear that? That is the sound of a baby that wants his mother. He is a mama's boy. He's with daddy right now. Like, literally just took him off of the breast 2 seconds ago and he's already screaming. So I'm going to make this story quick. So guys, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing my positive VBAC story. And when I say positive, I mean positive. I absolutely loved my birth. And if you've been following me for a while, you know my last birth story was a little funny mixed with a little bit of traumatized, okay? For the most part, you guys thought it was funny, and a lot of you could relate to having a C-section. But this birth, I got to deliver vaginally, so I had a VBAC, a vaginal birth after cesarean. And to get to the point where I was comfortable enough to do this is what I'm going to talk about in the video. And also the fact that I had a big baby, as some people like to call babies over 8-9 pounds. Yeah, I had people tell me don't do it. I had people tell me to do it. So I'm going to get into that as well. And I'm going to get into how I made the decision for myself and how I knew that the decision was the right decision for me and my family. Now, I want to start this video out by saying to each its own. You always have to go with your gut feeling when you are dealing with pregnancy and anything related to pregnancy and delivery. You kind of have to listen to your own body. So I hope this story inspires more women to try a VBAC after cesarean and get a doctor that will assist you with this type of birth, and also a doula. Both are very important in having a VBAC because it takes a lot of mental preparation, it takes a lot of physical preparation, and it also takes a lot of spiritual preparation. So if you have the right birth team, it can be done successfully, even with a big baby, okay? So guys, I'm gonna get into this story because I know a lot of you guys have been asking me on Instagram, when are you gonna upload your birth story video? Well, here I am. I'm gonna upload it right now. Stay tuned. All right, so guys, let me tell you about how I prepared for this birth mentally. And I have my notes here because I didn't want to leave out anything, because I just feel like this birth was by far the most special birth. And I say that because it was the birth that I had most control over. My first birth, I had an epidural. You know, I was laboring on my back. I was in the hospital for probably a good 24 hours, not knowing that you could labor at home. And you know, I was just pretty much uncomfortable. However, he did get here safely, and I am thankful and grateful. But I wasn't really educated when I had my first baby. I didn't really know that I had a voice, and my voice mattered, if you will. I just kind of went with what my OB said, what my doctor said, and of course, my OB wasn't melanated, and none of the people at the hospital were melanated. So I was kind of in an establishment that wasn't a safe space for me. Even without knowing that, I kind of just went with whatever I was told. If I was told to do this, I would do this. If I was told to take that, I would take that. I was unaware of the power and control that I could possess over my birth. So I was just, you know, going with the flow of whatever I was told. My second birth ended up in a cesarean section. I started to even wonder if that cesarean was absolutely necessary. Once again, I was on the right track to learning about birth. As you guys may know, I was posting videos with my doula. We were doing different exercises to work the baby down, trying to have a natural labor. So I took the steps with my second birth to actually have control over my birth and have the birth that I wanted. However, I still did not have the right OB that was totally in my corner, because she opted for a cesarean section at the last minute. And as you guys may know, if you haven't seen that birth story, I'll link it in the cards for you guys to check it out. But she just opted for a cesarean section, even though the only quote-unquote issue was that the baby was large and that they missed it. But later on, finding out that women do have, you know, larger babies, and you can push out a larger baby. It just takes, once again, the right birth team. So fast forward to baby number 3. I switched my OB to a melanated doctor by the name of Dr. Skanes. She was in my previous video. She delivered baby boy number 2 via cesarean section. She was a doctor that was called in to perform the cesarean section for me. So that's how I established a relationship with her. She then started her own practice, and I followed her to her practice with baby number 3 because I did not want to go back to the establishment that just quickly opted for a cesarean, because I knew that since I had a cesarean before, they would probably try to get me to have another one. I'm not exactly sure, but that's what I was thinking. And my doula brought up the fact that I could have a VBAC. So I opted to go to Dr. Heather Skanes. She is a beast. She is phenomenal at what she does. She does not feed into the BS, and by the BS, I mean my BS. When I went to her with my concerns and my doubts and my fears, she wasn't having it. Like, she was like, either you're gonna do this or you're not gonna do this. If you wanna have a VBAC, you can do this. If you wanna have a C-section, you can do that too. But just because the baby is big does not mean you have to have a C-section. So, preparing for this birth took a lot of mental preparation to get my mind out of the fear zone that, you know, the risk of having a VBAC are obviously uterine ruptures and the baby coming out of the rupture. And if that happens, then it's like a 50% chance that the baby will make it. So I actually had a doctor tell me that I had a growth scan with my last baby being 11 pounds, 14 ounces. They did a growth scan at a different hospital, and I had a doctor tell me, you shouldn't do a VBAC. Number one, because the baby is, 10 pounds. He was 10 pounds. He was measuring exactly 10 pounds the day of the scan. And he was like, you risk a uterine rupture. And I was like, well, what happens if I have a uterine rupture? Can it be resolved during the delivery? Like, well, like maybe, I was thinking maybe like an emergency C-section if need be. He was like, no, because the baby will have a 50% chance of living. And I was like, so I called my OB, Dr. Skanes, and I was like, look, this guy told me that, you know, blah, 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 uterine rupture, 50% chance. And she was like, it's only a 1% chance that that could happen. And the size of your baby doesn't matter. You can have a uterine rupture with a 7-pound baby. It doesn't matter the size. And I'm like, okay. So that's when I really started to prepare myself mentally for what I was about to do. Now, it took me a long time before I got 100% comfortable with the idea of a VBAC, the vaginal birth after cesarean. And I'll tell you guys how I did that. It took a lot of mental preparation. It took a lot of mind control, literally mind control over my own mind. I had to take control over my mind to make myself believe that I could do it. I know that sounds crazy, and it may not sound crazy to some, but literally I had to brainwash myself. I had to tell myself every day that you can do this. Like, I don't know if a lot of you guys may know about cesareans or C-sections, but they are kind of traumatizing. Like, the recovery is very hard. The initial process is hard. Like, you're in a cold room and it's just like, so thinking about another birth after that already, whether it's a C-section or not, can be hard to get into that mental space of I can do this. Because with me, my cesarean section, I felt like my body failed me. That's the feeling I had, a feeling of being a failure, so to speak. And I know a lot of you probably can relate. It's like, why didn't my body do what it was supposed to do? Why did I have to get cut open for, you know, like, I felt like my body failed me in a sense. So to prepare myself and tell myself that I could do something that I felt like I couldn't do in the past was a lot of work. I did a lot of meditation. I did a lot of meditation by myself. I probably cried at least 1,000 times during this pregnancy, just meditating on the birth alone, getting through that traumatic experience, playing it over and over again in my head until the feeling was numb, until I could think about it without fidgeting, without shivering, you know, without feeling scared or worried. You know, I sat there and I channeled that fear to the point where when I think about it now, it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't get chills thinking about it. I don't, you know, I'm grateful. I'm just grateful that my baby boy number 2 is here. And I just kept saying that. It wasn't the birth you wanted, but it was a great birth. And I had to keep telling myself that, because I didn't feel like the birth was a great birth because it didn't go how I wanted it to go. But sometimes things are out of your control and things happen and you can't control everything. So that's why meditation is key. It's essential. I faced it, and that's how I got through that part of it. It took a lot of physical preparation because after you have a C-section, your muscles are weak. And I got pregnant literally less than a year after having a C-section, and my muscles were non-existent. Okay, so I prepped for this by doing exercises. I went on walks, I did yoga, I did stretches, I did like exercises to get ready for the birth. And my husband assisted me with this. He is amazing. He is like such a great support system. He pushed me. Every day he got home from work, he was like, all right, let's do our workouts. Let's get it. So we did a lot of workouts, a lot of birth ball exercises, you know, all that jazz. Did a lot of praying, okay? A lot of praying for things to go right, for things to go the way that I wanted them to go. And when I prayed, I was talking to my baby like, you have to listen to me, okay? You have to listen to mommy, and we have to do this together, okay? So when it's time to move, we need to be working together. So that was my prayer, praying and seeking guidance and just talking to my baby, connecting with my baby, and just telling him like, we got this, we're gonna do this, and I need you to cooperate, okay? So that's how we got through that. I did birth hypnosis, listening to birth hypnosis on YouTube, just closing my eyes and listening to affirmations, like, you know, hypnotizing myself basically. So I did a lot of that, and I did a lot of affirmations. I said my affirmations daily. If I ever had a thought in my brain like, I can't do this, I said an affirmation. You can do this. You will do this. You have to do this. There's a baby in your stomach. You have to get him out. Like, literally, get over your fear. Get over yourself. You are great. Your body was meant to birth this baby. You can have this baby. You will have this baby. So I did a lot of that. And that's how I got through the mental and physical part of this birth. Now, with all of that being said, like I said, it took a lot to get to this point, but we got to this point, okay? and I'm forever grateful. Now that we got the first part out of the way, the mental preparation, the physical preparation, let's get into the actual birth story. Okay, so I was scheduled to be induced at 39 weeks because of my baby's size. In my last ultrasound at 38 weeks, I think he was measuring 10 pounds. I was scheduled to be induced on a Thursday, which was the 28th at 6 p.m. So I'm preparing to be induced. I'm packing my hospital bags all day, getting myself ready to go get checked into the hospital at 6 p.m. My OB, Dr. Skanes, called me at it had to be around 4 p.m. I feel like it was close to the time for me to start preparing to head to the hospital. I was, my nerves were up. I was excited. My adrenaline was rushing. And she called me and she was like, something came up at the hospital. Can you come at 6 a.m. instead on Friday morning, the 29th? I said, yeah, that's fine. We can do that. And literally, I was like, oh man, I was ready, and now I have to just sit here with even more anxiety and just wait till 6 a.m. I'm probably not going to be able to sleep tonight. So, long story short, I started having contractions at 8 p.m. that night, the night I was scheduled to be induced. But this is the crazy thing. I remember telling my doula that I didn't want to be induced. I wanted him to come on his own. With my other two, I was scheduled to be induced with Solar, and he came on his own the same day I was scheduled to be induced. But Osiris, he wasn't showing any signs of labor, and I was 41 weeks with him. I was also 41 weeks with Solar as well. So I was scheduled to be induced with Solar at 41 weeks, but he came on his own the day of induction. I didn't think that Aten was going to come on his own because I was 39 weeks. I was technically early, but I started having contractions, and I'm like, okay, these are kind of consistent. They're consistent contractions. So I called my husband. He was at the store with his mom because my mother-in-law came in town to watch our boys while we, went to the hospital because we were scheduled to be induced. So I called him. I was like, I'm having contractions. They're not strong, but they're consistent. I counted 5, and he was like, okay, cool. We're going to get ready to come home. We're just shopping around a little bit. Do you need me to come right now? I was like, no, you don't have to come right now. I don't think it's going to be super fast or anything. So yeah, take your time, because I'm thinking the last time I was in labor for 24 hours. I'm thinking it's going to be the same this time. Always remember, no two births are alike, okay? And I'll tell you why in just a second. So I'm having contractions, and I get up to use the bathroom, and some fluid leaked out. So I called my husband. I was like, all right, I think my water is breaking. I don't think it broke all the way, but it's trickling out. And he was like, all right, that's it. We about to head home. We on our way. So as I'm waiting, I'm just walking around the room like, oh my God, I think we're gonna actually I think he's coming. And my grandma was here as well, and she was so worried that she literally walked up the steps and just sat in my room with me until my husband and mother-in-law got back home. So I was just in the room talking to her and, having my contractions, and she was just like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Everything's good. So I called my doula, and I told her that I was having contractions and that my water broke, and she, told me when they get strong, call her back, and if more fluid leaked out, to call her. She was just, kind of playing it cool. She was like, I don't think there's a need for me to come over just yet because you're not in active labor, but we don't need to go to the hospital this early either because you'll just be laboring in the hospital. So I fell asleep. This is 9 o'clock. I fell asleep. And by 12 o'clock, my contractions were so strong that I rolled out of bed Like every time I had a contraction, I had to get up and walk, and I would go just sit on the toilet. I don't know why I went to sit on the toilet, but that was like my go-to place. Like when I had contractions at home, I would just sit on the toilet. I would roll out of bed on my hands and knees, roll on my ball for a second, and then I would go sit on the toilet. And then I would go lay back down and fall asleep until the next contraction. And I did that for a good, I want to say, hour or so. Probably a good hour or so. Fast forward to 1 a.m. The contractions are pretty much unbearable by this point. I called my doula again. I was like, look, I can't, like, I probably need to be into the hospital right now. She was like, try sitting in the bath. Run some water in the bathtub and sit in the bathtub and see if that eases it up. And I sat in the bathtub for about a good 15 to 20 minutes. I felt like it was 15 to 20 minutes. It could have been longer. When you're in labor, time is non-existent. You just don't have an idea or awareness of the time around you. It's just, everything feels like it's going fast, and some things feel like it's going slow. So it felt like I was in the bathtub for literally 5 minutes, but I know it was longer than 5 minutes. And I remember just sitting in the bathtub, and I told my husband, I said, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. If we don't get out of here right now, we're going to have this baby at home. And if my doula comes here first, we're going to have this baby at home. So we pack up our things. I told my doula, I said, look, I'm heading to the hospital. She said she could hear it in my voice that it was actually time to go. By the time we were walking out of the house, my mother-in-law said it was 1:55. Yeah, she said it was 1:55. Every time I have a contraction, I'm literally dropping to my hands and knees. I can't even stand or talk at this point. So all the way down the stairs, out the door, I have to literally stop and drop for every contraction. It doesn't matter where I was. Like, I remember when I got to the front door, it hit me and I had to just drop on my hands and knees. So I literally, after that contraction was over, I ran to the car as fast as I could to avoid having another contraction and having to stop, outside on the ground. I could just, get in the car and get it going in the car. So my husband was amazing. However, he was kind of nervous. I know he was kind of nervous because I told him, I was like, go upstairs and don't forget my birth ball. Don't forget this, don't forget that. This man is running up and down the steps. But every time he goes up, there's nothing in his hand. And every time he comes down, there's nothing in his hand. So he wasn't getting anything I was asking him to get. By the time he got outside, it was still nothing in his hand. I said, look, we got to go. Whatever we got to go. I said, but wait, I need my frozen grapes because I was so hot. I had put some my doula told me to put some grapes in the freezer because they will make a great snack, a great labor snack, and boy, was she right. So all the way in the car, I'm eating my frozen grapes. But anyway, get in the car. Finally, we get in the car and we take off. The contractions are so strong and so painful that I'm literally leaning up out of the car, trying to breathe, and I'm screaming like in agony because they were so painful. We're on the interstate and I see a car just go past us. And I look at my husband, I'm like, I'm gonna let him do his thing. I don't want to make him any more nervous than he already may be. So I'm gonna just keep breathing. Then I see another car on the left side just go, and I'm just like, all right. I don't know if he was driving slow or normal speed, but the fact that the cars were just going so much faster than us was playing with my mental. I said, you know what? I'm going to turn around. So I took my seatbelt off and I was hugging the seat, like just laboring on the seat, having contractions. And somehow we ended up at the hospital. Finally ended up at the hospital. When we got to the hospital, we went to the wrong entrance. The door wasn't open. I had a contraction. I had to get out of the car on my hands and knees in front of the hospital. And that's when my doula pulled up and she, you know, helped me labor on the ground and then told me to get in the car so we could go to the right entrance. Now, prior to all of this, I was freaking out. Okay, from the time I was at home to the time I got to the hospital, I was literally freaking out. And the reason I was freaking out is because I felt all of the pressure right on my C-section scar. That's where my labor was hitting, right there on the scar. So I immediately forgot everything that I had practiced and went into panic mode. And I feel like that's why my contractions at the time were so bad. They were horrific, okay? Because I was allowing myself to spiral. Every time I had a contraction, I'd be like, oh my God, like something's gonna happen to my uterus. I kept thinking about it because that's where the pain hit. When you have a VBAC, my doula told me this. She was like, you will feel some pain in your C-section scar, but you can't panic. You can't let it get to you. And that's the very thing that I did. However, when we got to the hospital, she got me in a wheelchair. She placed her hand on my shoulder and she said, breathe. I honestly feel like everybody has a purpose and everybody has a place in this universe to work and operate in the gift that they were given. I feel like Nadia is gifted and she is walking in her purpose because it didn't take much but a hand placed on my shoulder and to hear her voice say breathe. My body calmed all the way down and I just got chills saying that. My body literally went back into you can do this. You prepared for this. You got this. You are this. Like you're here now. Now is the time to do everything that you practiced. And my contractions didn't seem so bad. Now they were still bad. They still hurt like a mug. They still hurt. However, I was able to control everything through breathing, like deep breathing and channeling the energy that I put into this moment. So shout out to my doula, Nadia. She's the best. She was my doula with my previous birth. We did videos together. I'll link those in the cards as well. But like I said, people are really called to do the things that they do. And she is definitely called to do this work because there is no way the pain that I was in, the amount of pain that I was in, for her to just place her hand on my shoulder and say, breathe. And my body just relaxed. Like my body just relaxed. Like she laid hands on me basically. But anyway, so we get to the hospital. It's like 2:30 and we get to the hospital. You know, we go in the room, get settled. I'm still having contractions and get hooked up to the monitor, sign my paperwork or whatever. And the nurse comes in and she checks me and she's like, I don't feel anything, but I'm gonna get somebody to double check. I need a second opinion. The other nurse came in, she checked me and she was like, if I go any farther, I'm gonna break her water. They're checking my cervix. And they called a third doctor in, which is my OB, Dr. Skanes, for a third opinion. And she was like, yeah, there's no cervix. So if we had waited a moment sooner, I would have been pushing that baby out either in my car or at my house. We were that close where I was fully dilated by the time I got to the hospital. So we're in the room, you know, it's mellow. We're just, you know, no, it's not mellow. Actually, I'm having contractions. I'm getting my IV and stuff put in, and I decided that I wanted the IV drip. The pain medication, the IV drip pain medication. I did not do an epidural, but I did opt for the pain medication, and I do not regret it one bit. I told my husband, I said, I need something to take the edge off. And I told my doula, I said, I need something to take this edge off because the pain was so intense. And I know my body. And I was like, let's get that drip going. They was like, are you sure? Are you sure? I got in my husband's face. I said, I need to take the edge off. I want the drip. He was like, all right, let's get it. Let's get the drip in. So we probably labored for about a good hour or so, you know, like a calm labor where I was just able to, you know, relax in the bed, and then the contractions weren't so intense. I just needed a break. I feel like I needed a break because like the contractions that I was having all the way from the house up until the hospital, up until I got my IV put in, was just so intense that I just felt like my body needed some sort of a break. I needed a break if I was going to continue to do this, okay? So they gave me the IV drip and we just kind of chilled. I was able to laugh a little bit. I was able to just kind of take my mind off of the pain of the contractions. And the IV drip does not take the pain away. However, it makes you not care about the pain. So I was able to just kind of laugh and joke around. I was just able to relax and just kind of calm down before we got into another wave of active labor. Now, my doula does not play around when it comes to a calm, like stationary labor. She wants you to work. This is why we do the exercises. This is why we do the mental preparation, because it takes work to get the baby out. You need to be up and moving. You need to be in positions that's bringing the baby down, not like keeping the baby stagnant. So she told me, she was like, get up. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna get up. I'm just gonna stay here. Like, she's like, no, we need to get up. She made me get in the worst labor position, what I thought was the worst labor position, on hands and knees, hugging the back of the bed, kind of like exactly like I was in the car. And I did one round of labor in that way, and she was like, can you do another one? I said, absolutely not. We can do something else, but this one just not gonna get it from me. And that's what kick-started the labor back. It's like the medicine wore off after I got up. So I kind of had time to just, you know, chill and relax. And then when I got up, things started happening. So literally labored, I feel like I kind of went back in. I was in active labor the whole time, but the IV drip slowed it down a bit, and then I went back into active labor with very strong contractions soon after. Or either the labor just progressed and the contractions were going to get stronger regardless. I don't know. I labored on the hospital bed for probably about, it was 2:30 when we got there. He was born around 5 a.m. So 2:30, 3:30, 4:30. So about 3 hours at the hospital and he was born. So Nadia noticed that I was pushing on my own. And this is the thing that I love about this birth, is I had control over everything that happened with my body and my baby. I started pushing on my own and Nadia was like, are you pushing? I was like, I think I am. So when I felt my body going into that, okay, it's time to push phase, I just started pushing. Like, nobody was like, no, wait a minute, because with my last birth, they told me, okay, now you need to start pushing. Okay, stop pushing. Okay, start back pushing. But this time it was like my body naturally knew when to push, and I could feel that, you know? So I started pushing and she was like, are you pushing? I was like, I think so. And she was like, okay, let me get Dr. Skanes in here. So Dr. Skanes came in and literally it was time to have a baby. Like, it was go time. So we had the lights dim, the music was playing, and I literally could get in any position I wanted to. And that was a big thing for me this birth. I wanted to be able to move around. That's why I did not want the epidural, none whatsoever, because with my first birth, I was on my back and I could not move. I had my husband scoop me up, like just to lift my back up off the hospital bed. It was so painful to just lay on my back in labor that he had to like scoop me up and hold me up. Like, it's like holding dead weight. So that wasn't fun. So a big thing for me this time was to be able to move around and birth how I needed to birth. And I ended up birthing with laying on my side with my legs up. So that was the most comfortable position for me to push. So that's how we did it. I kept asking Dr. Skanes, like, how far is he? Like, where is he? She was like, touch him, it's your body. You know, you can feel where he is. You can put your hand up there. And I was like, really? She was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. So I got to feel him. You know, I inserted my hands into the birth canal and I felt his head. And that's when you know, like, okay, we got to get you out of there. It became real in that moment that I was, you know, that I felt him up there. And I was like, oh my God, he's coming. So I pushed. I don't know how long I pushed. I feel like it may have been an hour or so, and he was born. It was literally by far my best birth experience. And I told my doula at our last meeting prior to having him that I wanted to feel everything about labor this time, because I had never felt what really going into labor on my own felt like. Because with my first, they still gave me pentatocin to speed up my contractions because I wasn't going into active labor quick enough by their standards. And with my second, obviously I didn't go into labor at all because I had a C-section. So with this birth, I just kept praying. I was like, I just want to feel what it really feels like to really have a baby, you know, to naturally let your body go into labor and feel everything that labor has to offer. And I got to do just that this time. And I feel like it's important for women to have the right birth team, to have doulas, to have midwives, to have melanated doctors that look like them, that are really in their best interest. Because if I didn't have Dr. Skanes and Nadia, I probably would not have had the birth that I had. If I didn't have my husband by my side, he literally held my hand from the time I found out I was pregnant to the time I pushed him out. He was there every single day, helping me every single day. Even when things were like chaotic around me, he found a way to keep me like grounded. You know, he was there for me every single day. Okay, this man is amazing. I told my son at the dinner table the other day, he said, I want to be just like my dad. Or he said something that like, I want to be just like my daddy. And I said, your daddy's a good man. And I literally burst into tears. And my husband was like, oh my God, you gonna make me cry. He started crying too. So we like, our son looking at us like, and we just sitting there crying. Like, but he literally held my hand the entire way. And that played a key role in my successful birth too. Him being there for me, him giving me breaks and taking the boys when I needed to rest, and just being that person. You know, he is my person. So having the right birth team, having the right support system is essential in a woman's birth, because if I didn't have the people around me that I had around me, I don't know how this birth would have gone, especially since I had a C-section previously. If I had went to any other doctor, they might would have told me that, hey, we don't do VBACs. We can't do a VBAC. You should not do a VBAC because XYZ. But I'm glad I have the intuition that I have. I'm glad I listened to my body. I'm glad that I felt like I could do it and I actually did it. After this birth, I feel invincible. I almost feel like I walk around like I literally can do anything I want to do. And even with working out, if I'm doing squats and I feel like I'm about to give out, I'm like, you just pushed out a 10-pound, 8-ounce baby. You ain't finna give up like that. We ain't no We ain't no softies around here. You literally just pushed out a 10-pound, 8-ounce baby. Who finna quit? And then I go back into my reps. I be like, get it, push it, push it, push it, okay? Because that's just the mental space I'm in. Like, when you have a positive birth, your outcome is positive afterward. I don't have postpartum depression. If I ever have a thought of or a feeling of sadness, I can literally just think about my birth and it makes me super excited. I watched the video over and over again because it's just like, I cannot believe I did this. I feel like a superwoman. And I have the right to. And every woman that's ever had a baby, whether you've had epidural, a C-section, a VBAC, vaginal birth, whatever, we are super women, period. And I can say that because I've literally had 3 types of births. I've had a birth where I had an epidural and I didn't feel like I had a lot of control, but I still delivered that baby. I had a birth where I had a C-section and I feel like my body failed me. However, I still had the baby. And I had the birth where I feel like everything was together, everything went well, but guess what? I still had the baby. So no matter how you get your babies here, we all deserve that trophy. You know, that superwoman trophy. There should be like a birth trophy out here. Every time you give birth, you just need to have a trophy. I got 3 trophies in my stash right now. That's all I'm gonna have, but I got them. Because we ain't having them. We not having them, my babies. I'm sorry. Y'all won't be getting no more birth stories from me, okay? This is the last one. I said that the last time, but I mean it this time, okay? I mean it this time. Tevin, keep your hands off me. He ain't gonna be able to do it. He ain't gonna be able to do it. So guys, I think that's pretty much it for this video. I really hope I don't look back at this video and I'm like, dang, I left this out, because it's kind of hard to remember every single little detail. Let me run it back in my head right quick. I think I said everything, but once again, I want to shout out Dr. Skanes and Nadia. You guys are amazing at what y'all do. Keep doing y'all thing. Continue to strive and thrive for our community because you are needed. As you can see, it works. It definitely works. What you guys are doing is impacting a lot of people. One being myself, definitely. And thank you once again, like literally, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm sure I can speak on behalf of Tevin as well. He really appreciates you guys just as much as I do, because just as much as these are my babies, these are his babies as well. So yeah, before I get emotional and teary-eyed, guys, I'm going to end this video right here. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you like my videos, why not subscribe to my channel? And as always, world peace. Bye, guys.